Carlyle was a fine, just a real truthful friend. He would always greet you with a smile, and basically he always wanted to focus on you as a person, not on himself.
For years, Carlyle Whitelow could be seen every morning, rain or shine. He'd be outside the Bridgewater Dairy Queen waving at people passing by.
There was never a negative word that came out of his mouth. It was always positive. And, you know, you hear about the glass half full, half empty. His glass was always totally full. That's who he was. That's who he was, and that's how people remember him.
Carlyle loved teaching and coaching. His former students at Bridgewater College saying he made a huge impact during his time there.
He was always smiling. He had a big heart, and he was very encouraging to me as a student with my tennis playing. He had more faith in me than I did myself at times.
Carlyle also played a vital role in bringing the community together.
As a young man, a young black man, he grew up in the era of Jim Crow, and as a generational leader, led us through that to where we are today.
There were probably incidents where he could have carried a bitterness in his heart. There wasn't room in his heart for any bitterness. He was full of joy and love and reaching out to everybody.
Those who knew Carlyle best hope to carry on his legacy by loving and accepting everyone. In Bridgewater, Colby Johnson, WHSV.
The hardest part was, taking the field. For me, was having to reorganize the depth charts. That was when it really kind of sunk in. It's just like, what do you do without him now?
The East Hardy Cougars met as a team and decided to play their first game of the season the day after losing Josh Hahn.
At first, I didn't think it was real. I was texting everybody, trying to see if it was real, and it was horrible. I was tore up for the whole probably 2 weeks, and it made us get fire under our butt.
It was a long 24 hours. And after that, it was like relief, because you come home, the family was like, they're like, so proud of you, good job, I don't know how you all did that. And then you're like, well, we did it for Josh.
The team winning that game 41-20, honoring Josh the best way they knew how. And the Cougars haven't slowed down just yet. The team is 5-0.
Every game since, we've grown a little closer. We have a little bit more fun, and with more fun comes more wins. So I'm really impressed with the team's resiliency this year.
Hahn was a huge Star Wars fan, and the team has used that as one of the many ways they are honoring him.
Just to help us feel a little bit like he's still with us. And so we come out to the Star Wars theme pregame instead of Enter Sandman like we normally do. But, we have our posters, things of that nature. We take his jersey with us everywhere we go.
The team also remembers Josh for the fun-loving person that he was.
On the field, he knew what he was doing. He knew where to go, what was happening every play. But, off the field, he was the life of the party. Not the party, but he was the life of a party in his own world somewhere.
In Hardy County, Colby Johnson, WHSV.
He was one of the most generous, happy, fun, loving, giving person in the world. He'd give you the shirt off his back.
You may remember Willard Scott, a longtime weatherman for the Today Show, best known for his fun personality. Scott grew up in Alexandria but fell in love with the Valley. After retiring from the Today Show in 1996, Scott moved full-time to his farm right outside of Rafine.
He loves the mountains way more than the ocean. He hates sand. So in the old days, you go down the beach in Florida and he'd have his shoes and socks on because he couldn't stand it,
His daughter Mare says the Valley was Scott's favorite place, and he spent much of his time enjoying his farm, gardening, and cruising around on his trusty Gator.
You'd see, the back of Dad Willard driving, and then this little prick-eared dog right by his side, and they'd go through cow pies, and since there's no fenders all over, he enjoyed that.
Scott's farm in Rockbridge was also the site of his final on-air appearance in 2015.
Right up there at the barn. Al Roker came down, and they had, a nice program. So it was really weird for me to see, at 3 o'clock in the morning, they're setting up cameras. He had a full 87, full life, So I'll miss him.
In Rafine, Colby Johnson, WHSV.
In his mind, he was never going to retire. 81. You would thought, okay, He beat the 65 rule, he beat the 70, he beat the 75, beat the 80 rule.
Tinky Bryan worked at the Chesapeake Western Rail Depot for 41 years and passed away there on July 3, 1973, after being told he had to retire.
They're putting together a party to celebrate Tinky, and when they went to look for Tinky, they found him sitting on the bench overlooking the rail. He had had a massive heart attack. The families told me that he died of a heartbreak, that he was forced to quit working at the depot.
Today, Tinky's family and members of the community came together to dedicate a bench in his honor outside the old depot building and share stories.
You can't forget a name like Tinky, but the thing I do remember, I don't know any specific memories specifically, except I remember he always wore blue overalls and he always had a big smile on his face.
Hard worker, dedicated, true to his word, and was just an all-around really great guy.
Tinky was asked to retire years before his passing, but refused.
There's a mandatory retirement age of 65 for railroad employees, and at 65, they let Tinky know that he needed to retire. It was time, and Tinky kept showing up for work.
At the time of his death, Tinky was the oldest railroad worker in the nation.
That says a lot about his dedication to the city of Harrisonburg, to the county of Rockingham, and to the Commonwealth of Virginia.
In Harrisonburg, Colby Johnson, WHSV.